Hello and welcome to the Road to National series. Within this series, I'm going to try and qualify and compete in the British National Powerlifting Championships within raw powerlifting. Now, each episode within this series is going to show you some aspect of my diet, my lifestyle, but mainly my training leading up to try and compete. And there's going to be some sort of educational topic to go alongside this. So I'm going to cover things like my programming and how I'd advise you program, the max effort method, the dynamic effort method, why I utilize those methodologies, how I would advise you program accessories, how intensely you should be training your accessories, how much volume I'd advise, as well as specific things like pieces of equipment for a home gym if you're thinking of building that, what you should do whether you're injured or sick, or if you're going on holiday, how to manage that. There's going to be a wide array of topics that I'm going to cover, and if you think of any topic that you want me to cover, comment it down below. But without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you a lower max workout, and I'm going to be talking more specifically about the max effort method later in the video. But first, this is me warming up to my lower max variation for the day. As you can see, it is a banded squat. I have never done a squat with this much band tension before. This is the thickest band I possess. However, I have done a 120 kilo squat with the lighter band. That's what I was trying to hit, which I already hit. Felt amazing, so I went for this 140 kilo max, and honestly, it was super easy. I was really happy with that. It wasn't quite maximal, but I felt like I'd leave it there because I have been dealing with a knee injury. So for my squat maxes in particular, I haven't been pushing them to the limit simply because I don't want to aggravate that knee injury. So here I'm starting with my accessories and I'm doing hip extensions. I have 50 kilo plates, which are very heavy and are perfect for hip extensions for me. There is nothing that fatigues my glutes and hamstrings quite like hip extensions. I can barely walk after, as you'll be able to see later in the video. The other accessories I've got today, which I'll move on to, are quad extensions after the hip extensions, then calf raises, and then hip adductions. So whilst they're playing in the background, you can watch them. I'm going to talk about the max effort method. So the reasoning behind the max effort method is you are trying to work on your absolute strength. So there are different types of strength, and in powerlifting, you are basically testing what is known as your absolute strength. Absolute strength is what is the peak force output your body is capable of. What are you absolutely maximally able to do? And with the max effort method, you are definitely working on that. You build up to some variation of a max. So it's very effective for training absolute strength. There are other types of strength like speed strength and explosive strength. That is how fast you can move different objects. So speed strength is how fast you move moderate weights, and we train that with the dynamic effort method. I do that later in the week, and that translates back to your absolute strength. But the best way to train absolute strength is the max effort method, so that's why I do that. Also, what your strength is actually comprised of is three different things. That's what determines whether you're strong. The first one is your leverages. You can't really change them. You can't change like your muscle insertions, how far they insert along the bones. That comes into play with determining how much weight you can move, or how long your actual skeletal structure is, and what sort of forces are being applied to your body, which results in how much weight you can lift. One thing you can do to change your leverages is alter your squat or bench or deadlift technique. But that's the first thing that determines your strength. The second thing is your muscle size. So doing bodybuilding style workouts help increasing the size of the muscle, increases your capacity for being strong, and that's why bodybuilders are often very strong. But the final thing that determines what makes you strong is your neurological drive. So you might have heard before the untrained people can only utilize 50% of their body's muscle fibers, whereas like trained athletes can utilize like 90% of their fibers. It's basically how hard can you contract your muscle? How much of a neurological drive can you send the signal from your brain to your muscle to cause it to contract maximally? And by training the max effort method and absolute strength, you have a huge neurological adaptations. And neurological adaptations as well is also why some people who don't have a lot of muscle can be crazy strong. It's because they're able to utilize their muscle fibers very well. So that is why I train the max effort method. It has many benefits, but they're mainly the neurological adaptations you get and the fact that it helps you develop your absolute strength. So now we're getting back to today's workout and the accessories. Here I am doing the hip abductions on a roller. Now I actually did these later than the others. That's why the camera's all steamed up. You might have seen me lying on the floor after my calf raises. I trained very hard today and I felt really sick after the calf raises. That's why I was lying on the floor. So I decided to go back inside and come back and do these later. I had a friend who wanted to train in the gym at this time, so I was like, okay, I'll just do my hip abductions later. There you go. You can see my friend training and doing some plyos to warm up. So yeah, these are super challenging. I'm basically going as deep as I can, and the way I progressively overload these is actually through range of motion rather than weight. I'm only going to start adding weights later, but I haven't done this exercise for long. I have got crazy DOMs from doing this. It's now a few days after while I'm recording this voiceover. So yeah, I find it a very effective exercise. That is pretty much it for today's video. I hope you did in fact enjoy the video. If you did, drop it a like, drop it a comment, subscribe, click the bell, all of those good things. Keep on training and have a great day.